Okay, if we could have one more nice round of applause for the Reedsburg High School Jazz Band. Thank you very much for coming. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening. My name is Mr. Taylor. I am the principal here at Reedsburg Area High School, and we appreciate you coming tonight for 8th grade Parents Night. We have a few things we're going to do tonight. If you looked at the website or listened to one of those multiple phone messages we left, we're going to have 3 segments. We're going to try to keep this to no more than 90 minutes because we know that's an awful long time for you to sit and hear things from us. So at any time, if you have questions while we're presenting, feel free to raise your hand and let us know that you have a question. We'll try our best to answer it. But the program tonight will go like this. We're going to start with our counselors. They're going to have a while. We're going to have our staff introduce themselves and give you some highlights about their departments. And then Mr. Terry, my assistant principal, and I will give you the top 10 things that happen here at Reedsburg High School that are probably different than what your children have seen at other schools. So at this time, please welcome Mrs. Bacher and Ms. Schmidt, our counselors.
All right. Well, good evening and welcome to the high school. We really appreciate and I'm really excited to see so many people out in the crowd tonight. It's really great to see such support for your son or daughter in their transition to school. So thank you for coming and being here. Again, my name is Melissa Bacher. I'm one of the counselors at the high school, and behind me is Lisa Schmidt. She's the other counselor here. So tonight, as the counseling department, we're gonna talk to you about your son or daughter's transition to high school. As you may know, a lot of feelings go along with this transition. So some of you out there that I actually recognize you from last week might be feeling excited. Okay, so you're ready for new experiences, new teachers, new hallways, new faces. Others might be feeling anxious, okay, some anxiety, some nervousness, and then others just might be ready for this change. And we just want to assure you that these are normal feelings, so that kind of comes along with change. But I can promise you that Reedsburg Area High School, it is a great school to be at, so you're in good hands. All right, Ms. Schmidt and I, we're going to talk more specifically about your son or daughter's course selection, as well as the course description book that goes along with this. So just last week, like I mentioned, we actually went to Webb Middle and also the private schools, and we covered this course selection with your students in a pretty detailed manner. So tonight we're going to do it a little bit more, I guess, brief. But if you haven't done so already, if you do have questions or after tonight, I strongly encourage you to go home and talk to your son or daughter about this process. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the course description booklet. If some of you actually brought that booklet, you can go ahead and take it out and follow along with. All of your son or daughters, they received this last week. So you can go ahead and pull that out. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's kind of thick. But I just want to highlight some important pieces that I think are kind of critical to transition. Just kind of a side note as well, another way or another place that you can find this course description booklet is actually on our school counseling homepage. So this is what most of our students do actually. So our sophomores through seniors, they go on and use this course booklet online. So we just kind of supply this to our incoming freshmen. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to highlight a few pieces that I find helpful. And we also, again, went over this with your kids. So on page 4, we'll display it up here as well, just in case you don't have one with you. This text box, we just told them to highlight this. This is just something for a discussion point for your student and you to go over. It really lays out the scheduling process, what to expect, some helpful tips on how to have a successful transition and the next success here in the next 4 years, as well as contact information, so a phone number. So that's kind of just something right there. Underneath it, it's the RAHS graduation requirements. All right, and I actually asked your son or daughter these questions in each class we went to. Does anybody know in what year they will graduate from high school? Yes, 2019. Sounds futuristic. But so we're going to be paying attention to the class of 2017 and beyond. All right, that's the column we want to look at. I mean, these are the requirements to graduate from high school. So English, 4 credits or 4 years. So they will be taking English with us for the next 4 years. Rest assured, English will never go away. All right, science. Science, 3 credits or 3 years. So this is an area that has gone up, as you can see. So these expectations have risen, as well as the state of Wisconsin's expectations. So we want to make sure we're best preparing our students. Social studies, 3 credits or 3 years. And the social studies classes get more specific on what's required. But Ms. Schmidt and myself will help the students the next 4 years to ensure that they're taking the correct social studies classes. Math, 3 credits or 3 years of a math, another area that has gone up. Phy-Ed, 1.5 credits. So this typically ends up being 3 Phy-Ed classes that spread out over the next 4 years. Business education, 1/2 credit. More specifically, it's our personal finance class. That's a required course for all students. And typically this happens their junior year. So we told most freshmen that they can kind of put that in the back burner for right now. We also have health, Health 10, and it's Health 10 for a reason. They take that their sophomore year. So at the bottom, then you can see the total required credits. That's 15.5, and then you add that to the 7.5 elective credits, so those classes that they elect to choose, those kind of fun classes, art, music, world language. And that gives us a grand total of our 23 credits. All right. Seems like a lot, but that's why we have 4 years. So, we also just want to mention that we do require 28 hours of community service. Many of you are already doing this already. We just ask that you're documenting this, and we'll show you on the documentation form, and then you would turn that into our counseling office. But 28 hours before you graduate. There's a sentence in bold that I just want to draw your attention to too. It's under the credit load per year. 9th and 10th grade students, they must carry a minimum of 7 credits for the school year. So now we have 7 periods in our day here at the high school, which if you have 7 credits, that gives us a full schedule, all right? With that then, you notice that there's probably not a slot or a period where they would have study hall, all right? And so what this does not tell us though, is that we do have something scheduled into our day. It's called RTI. So for those parents in the room that have another son or daughter that's older, they've probably heard of that, maybe? Your kids are telling you what's going on in the high school, right? But this is a time when students are assigned to go to a particular class, and this is where they're assigned to an advisor, where they have the time scheduled into the day where they can work on kind of whatever they need to do, homework, papers, go to the IMC. But the other helpful part of this, and we call this somewhat of a structured study hall, is because everyone in the whole school has this RTI time assigned. So that means every teacher is available because they are not teaching. So let's say your son or daughter is struggling within math, algebra specifically. This is the time then that he or she has the opportunity to go to their algebra teacher and get that extra help. Okay, so turning the page, real quickly, just on page 7, towards the bottom, you'll see 4-year college entrance minimum requirements. we pointed this out to your students as well here because we wanted to draw attention to the fact that I just covered RAHS, or Reedsburg Area High School, graduation requirements. So what you need to graduate from high school. Now that is different than your requirements if your plan is to go to a four-year college. All right, and in here it does a nice job of describing what those requirements would be. So they're asking you to go above and beyond these graduation requirements. All right, on page 8, it says extracurricular activities. We highly, highly encourage your student or your son or daughter to get involved at the high school level, right? Especially right from the get-go. You know, so much can come from this. You meet new people, new friends, learn teamwork, cooperation. You know, some of your strongest bonds come from some of these areas. And also, research does indicate that students who are involved, they like school better, right? They have better attendance. They even have a better GPA, okay? And we really do have something for everyone. So whether you're athletic, you know, can't wait to try out for the basketball team, or volleyball, or soccer, we have that. Or maybe you're more into the arts. We have several different clubs within that area. If you like drama or musicals, we have different plays that happen, or musicals throughout the school year, whether you want to be on stage or maybe you're more behind the scenes, all right, designing the sets. Leaner Club, Mountain Club, so there really is something for everyone, so I really encourage you to get involved. And then the last thing I just want to draw your attention to in this book is on page 11, the course fees. So we just want you all to be aware that several of our courses do have fees associated with them, okay? Specifically the elective classes, so those classes that you elect to take. And this happens because these classes, we utilize more supplies, more materials, and so with that, costs come along with that. So as your student is filling out that back sheet that Ms. Schmidt will talk about just in a second here, just keep those in mind. So, and now Lisa Schmidt's going to come up and she's going to talk about the course selection sheet with you.
Good evening. Okay, so if you brought along your yellow sheet, now's the time to get that out, because that's what I'll be referring to during this part of the presentation. All of your son and daughters received this as well when we came into the classroom last week. And the first thing to point out is that these sheets are due Friday, February 13th. It's not a bad omen. It's just Friday the 13th, okay? We had a lot of kids that were like, oh my gosh, I gotta hand it in before that. That's okay too. But so these are due back to their teacher. So at Webb, this would be back to their social studies teacher. And at the private schools, it would be just to their regular teacher, okay? And then we'll take care of getting those from those instructors. The next part that you'll see on there is that it says career goal, and then there's a blank line there. And this is just really a way for us to be able to get to know your son and daughter a little bit better. So if your son or daughter is thinking, maybe I want to go into the health field, or maybe I want to be a vet tech, or maybe I want to be a welder, or whatever it might be. This is our opportunity to see what they've thought about and what they're considering. So we realize that they'll probably change their mind, and we realize that, you know, this will adjust over time. But for us, it's just a good way to make sure that the classes they're taking are appropriate, and also to get to know them a little bit. So if they have an idea there, if you could put that down, that'd be great. And then the next thing, just your son or daughter's last name and first name. We did fill this out together in the classroom, so they should have done that portion with us. And then we get to the important part here, the actual course selection. So the first section is the English section, And you'll notice that on the line where they're supposed to draw their X, there's already an X there. And that's because we know, from what we just said earlier, that there's 4 years of English required for graduation. So we know they're going to be taking some kind of an English class for the year next year. The only difference might be that your student could be interested in taking the accelerated English 9-10 class. And I know the English department's going to step up here a little bit later, and they may say something in addition to this, but what I'd like to mention is that there is a test required for that class. There will be information sent home via mail to each of you with a description of how your student can participate in that exam. That exam will be given here at the high school in the LGI, and then based on the results from that test, your student may be placed in the accelerated English class for the year. If they don't meet those requirements, then they'll take the regular English 9 class like 80% of our other freshmen do. So either they'll be in regular English 9 or the accelerated class for next year. We also taught your students how to add credits when we were there. And so if you want to hear your child explain something that might be a little confusing, you should ask them how to add credits on this. But I'll give you an example here. Under the English department, you'll notice next to the line that has the X, it says 102/103. And because that class has 2 3-digit numbers, we know that it's a year long, or 1 credit. In comparison or contrast, we can see that the Phi-Ed department, each of those classes only has 1 3-digit number. So that means it's a semester long, okay? So that's kind of how we told your students to add this up, and we'll practice at the end together, okay? So then the next section is Phi-Ed, and you'll notice your child has 3 choices there. You can read the course description booklet accordingly to find out which one best fits your child's, what they're looking for through their Phi-Ed class. They'll choose one of those 3. Then the next section is science. We need to take 1 credit of science, or a year-long science class, and again there are 3 choices. The typical science class for most freshmen is physical and earth science. I would say maybe right around 40% take modern biology, and then there's an additional class called agrobiology. The agrobiology class is really for students that are interested in an agriculture career. So if they're maybe thinking about going into something in agriculture, that's their focus, they enjoy that type of coursework, they'll want to read the description and then make a choice from there. So you'll select one of those. Also, you'll notice that the teacher recommendation is required. So whoever your student science teacher is right now, we ask that that person just initial that the course they selected is appropriate for them. The next section after that is math. And again, we have year-long math for freshman year. So there's 2 choices there, Algebra 1 and Geometry 9. So the quick explanation for this is, if your child is currently in pre-algebra, next year they would take Algebra 1. If your child is currently in Algebra 1 and maybe math is a little bit hard for them, or they struggle quite a bit with math, they need extra help, it takes them a little bit longer to get through it, they can take Algebra 1 again as a freshman, and it would just simply be a review for them. It'll give them a good, strong base for moving forward. So if your child has a little bit harder time with math, that would be our suggestion. And then the third option would be, if your child's in Algebra 1 now in 8th grade and does well with that, then they would just move on to Geometry 9. And again, we ask that their math teacher they currently have just signs off on that. Okay, so the last required section is social studies. And you'll notice that there's 1 class checked already. That is our Modern US class. And we know that that class is a semester because it has 1 3-digit number. And so we need to pick the other half of the semester, or the other half of the year that the student will be taking to get to a full credit. So that's what that's indicating there. Select one additional half credit from all those choices listed there. So the best way to kind of navigate that is the course description booklet for what each class is about, and then your child can pick which one they think sounds the most interesting. Okay? So those 2 half credits come together to make their full credit of social studies. You'll notice down at the bottom there are some advanced placement courses. These are college courses happening in the high school. And so your child will have many, many, many more opportunities to take AP in high school. Rarely, we have a few freshmen that sign up to take an AP class. Typically, it's in the social studies area. And so if you feel that your child is ready for this challenge, it might be appropriate for them to talk with their social studies teacher in 8th grade, and then have that conversation. They'll just initial that they've had that conversation. And then if you have questions about that, that'd be something to give us a call on as well. So let's practice adding credits. So the first section is English, and that's worth 1 credit because of the 2 3-digit numbers. Next is science, which is a credit, which gets us to 2. Math is a credit, which gets us to 3. The 2 social studies classes come together to get us to 4 credits. And then there's 1 half a credit left out there yet. What is it? Phy Ed. Okay, so the half a credit that's left over is the Phy Ed class. So if we did it correctly, and if we counted it, it would equal 4.5 credits on the front. Okay? So then we're going to flip it over to the back. And these are the elective classes, or the classes that your child chooses to take within the elective areas. And so the first section is agriculture. And again, you'll notice that all of those are a half a credit because there's 1 3-digit number. And there are many, many opportunities in the ag department. And so again, my suggestion would be to read the descriptions and then choose from there. And I know we'll hear more about that in a little bit. Next section is art. And the only thing I want to mention with the art department is that you'll notice that under art foundations, it says 614 ceramics, and then after it, it says 601 required. So we explained to your child that in high school, we do have some prerequisites, and so those are classes that we have to take first before we can take the other class. So in the art department, that's the case. Students need to take art foundations before they can take any other art class. So if they want to select 2 art classes, that's okay. They just have to do art foundations first. So you just want to pay a little bit of attention to that. Again, business ed, so we mentioned that a little bit ago. That's typically upperclassmen. Some sophomores, juniors, and seniors take personal finance. If you feel strongly that your child is ready for that kind of class, feel free to mark it. Otherwise, you can call us if you want to ask us about that. Next one is music. Okay, so within the music department, we'll notice that their music classes are year-long because there's 2 3-digit numbers. So it does take up quite a bit of time in their schedule. So we did tell your children that if they plan to take band, choir, or orchestra, they really need to make sure that it gets marked on this document because it will heavily affect their schedule because those are all only 1 hour of the day. And so it's really important that if your child wants to continue to be in band or choir or orchestra, that they mark that on here so we can best help them get the correct schedule. Next is tech ed. So you'll notice in the tech ed department that we do have mostly semesterized classes, the 1 3-digit number there as well. Again, this section, pretty important to read the course description booklet because they're pretty individualized and they focus on different areas. And so you'll definitely want to make sure that you're looking at that. And then notice there are prerequisites in that area as well. And then last but not least is the world language department. So you'll notice on here as well that world language is a credit or year long. Okay, so If your child is currently taking Spanish 1 in the middle school and is doing quite well with it, and Mrs. Siechschlag feels that they're ready to move on to the next level, then Spanish 2 may be appropriate. If your child has not taken any foreign language or wants a review, it's also appropriate for them to retake Spanish 1 or to start out in regular Spanish 1 or French 1 at the high school. So those are all the electives in the quick version. And then towards the bottom, we're going to kind of look at adding up credits. So on the back, your total at the end, on the back alone, should be 2.5 credits. So if your child wanted to take band, for example, and if they wanted to take Spanish, that's already 2 credits, right? So they only have another half a credit left over. So sometimes it's very difficult for students to decide what to take because there's just not enough time in the day. And so that's where sometimes students have to make decisions and also to remember that they have 4 years of high school to be able to get all this stuff done. So if you feel like your child is a special circumstance, or if you want to discuss a different type of schedule for them, let us know individually and we can talk about that. But they cannot have more than 7 credits at the end, because that would be 7 class periods, okay? And then at the bottom, we just want the parent signature to prove you saw this, and that you were part of the decision making, and then also your student signature to make sure that they're committed to the process and that they are willing and ready to do these classes that they've selected. So that's how we fill out the document. We did ask that your students do this in pencil because they'll change their mind quite a bit, and so we would appreciate that if you did do that in pencil, if you want to go over it in pen when they've finally decided on what they want to do. But pencil helps us be able to read what they've selected. And now I'm going to move on to the next section. So Mr. Dave Moon is up next to present for the Social Studies Department.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. I get to lead off the first of a number of departments that will be up here tonight. I just want to give a quick introduction to my colleagues, so wave, or better yet, stand up when I call your name. We have Matt Smucksta, who specializes in our Western Civilization and Asian and African Studies courses. We have Katie Marine, who specializes in Women's Studies and Cultural Geography. And you notice that most of your students will be taking Modern U.S. History. The odds are pretty good that they will see her next year, which is good news for the kids. We have Jim Reynolds. He's our resident psychology expert. He teaches both the regular psychology course and our AP course in that area. Kevin Grundy couldn't be here tonight. He is our teacher in early 20th U.S. history, and he's also the economics teacher, which is something that students usually take later on in their careers. As for me, I teach courses in Imperial European history, and then the AP courses in both U.S. history and government and politics. As Ms. Schmidt said, students need 3 credits. Our department's a little unique, really within the state of Wisconsin, in the sense students have a lot of choice. It's kind of like a buffet. They can select from a number of options depending on where their interests take them. We have 3 advanced placement options in our department that students can choose from. For those of you parents and or students who might be interested in AP courses next year, either the government class or the U.S. history course, I will have a meeting on Wednesday, so 2 days from now at 4:30 upstairs in my classroom, which is number 220, and I would be happy to discuss any questions you have. There are advantages and I suppose some potential pitfalls to taking an AP course as a freshman. But if you have any interest at all, would like to have your questions answered, I'll be happy to do that at that time. So it'll be Wednesday, 4:30 upstairs. And that would be that. And I believe Mr. Brian Pottinger is next up.
Hello, I'm Brian Pottinger. I teach the driver education course here at the high school. It is a semester-long course. You do get a half credit for it. And your student may be eligible to take it as a freshman based on numbers that we have during that semester and also based on birthdays. So I can certainly stay around and answer any questions you may have about driver education. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Mike McCarty and I am one of our 4 fantastic technology education teachers here at the high school. We have Mr. Gromley, Mr. Anlicker, and Ms. Kaufhammer, and we offer a very wide variety of technology education courses, stemming from automotive, construction, woodworking, cabinet making, and we're offering a ton of new computer science courses as well. So there's certainly something for everyone out there, which is something we strongly encourage because we live in a technological world, and we find it only fitting that a student should graduate taking at least one technology education course. So we certainly hope to see you guys in class, and also for the parents and students out there, I do want to inform you of a really cool opportunity that we are going to get started this summer. So our counselors were talking about a lot. They were talking about how incoming freshmen coming in, there's some nerves, right? It's a big building, and you're worried, where do I go? Where's my locker? What's my combination? We are offering 2 technology education courses here over the summer as a summer school class for 4 weeks total, and it's something we're pretty excited about. As you guys looked at the schedule, you guys have so many options, and it's tough to kind of narrow it down, especially because you guys are so excited to get into everything. So what it would do is it would really free some space up in your schedule if you were able to come in this summer and take a class with us, which would be just a really great way to start your high school career. We'd go through, we'd get you comfortable with the building, we'd get you comfortable with your locker, with all the classes you would have during your regular school year. So by the time the school year does start, you pretty much know everything and where everything's at. And it really would help ease some of the natural nervousness of coming to a new building. The 2 classes we're going to offer are Intro to Manufacturing and Intro to Construction. In Intro to Manufacturing, what the students will do is basically form a company. They will design a product. We will mass produce that product. We will market that product. We will sell that product with the whole goal of mimicking exactly what a real manufacturing company does. We will take that profit and we will go down to the big store plaza and get ice cream and whatever else we want there. Because you guys earned it, because you made a profit, and it's really cool to kind of teach it that way. Another class, our other class is Intro to Construction, where the students are going to learn everything about residential construction, from the architecture and design work to concrete, floor framing, wall framing, interior and exterior finishes. And this one we find really exciting. I don't know if you guys have been following the news, but the papers have it correct. Starting next year, we will be flipping a house. We have a home, almost 2 homes in Reedsburg that our students will go into. We're going to gut them. We're going to work with professionals. We're going to do electrical, plumbing, heating and cooling. We're going to move walls. We're going to insulate. We're going to put in new windows. It is something I'm really, really excited about, and I need good kids. I need good people to fill the class. So taking Intro to Construction is a prereq to that, so we can get your kids involved with that as they become sophomores and older. So again, it would really free up a lot of your time and space. And I know a lot of students say, hey, I wish I could take a tech ed class, but I got band and choir and foreign language and I don't have any room. So here is your opportunity. We do have some plenty of flyers that we'll be handing out, or come see me and talk to me if you're interested. And thank you. Sorry I took up so much time, but just want to let you know what's going on. So thank you guys very much.
Hi, I'm Nick Casey. I'm representing on behalf of the Ag Department tonight. My colleague, Mr. Tierney, couldn't be here this evening, so I guess I'll speak. I know a lot of you from the middle school. That's where I do spend my afternoons with many of you. And so we also have a huge list of classes ranging in about 4 or 5 distinct areas. If you're interested in animal science, obviously there's some classes for you, same with plant science. And we also have some classes in agricultural business and a host of other courses. In addition, to feed off of what we saw up here, in addition to agricultural biology, we also have 4 other courses that can count towards the 3rd credit of science. So some of you who are interested in some of those courses, that might be a thing for you. And finally, we also have a very strong FFA organization here. I encourage many of you guys to apply for it. So we have about 70 members here, and we've had pretty good success rate the last few years with several state and national winners. And I will also be here if you do have any questions. Feel free to stop by and ask. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Even, the business education teacher, and as the counselors mentioned, personal finance is where most of my time is spent, and it's usually juniors and seniors taking that class. Accounting is another class, and if you want MATC credit for it, you have to be a junior or senior. So for the most part, my classes are more junior and senior focused, but they are all open to freshmen. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Thanks.
Bonsoir, buenas noches. I am Christine Christensen. I am the French teacher here. I also teach Spanish. My colleagues, Mrs. Sarah Breckley, is unable to attend tonight. My other colleagues are Miss Elizabeth DuPont. She teaches Spanish. And a lot of you already know Mrs. Siechlock. She's at the middle school. I'd like to reiterate what Ms. Schmidt said about if you currently are in a level 1 class, you feel very confident, please take the 2nd level. If you are not so confident, come and talk to us. We'll help you figure out what fits you best when you're here up at the high school. And if you happen to be in one of my classes, I have a new language I speak. It's called Spanish. It's a very creative way of mixing both Spanish and French together and making one heck of a creative language. So, enjoy.
Hello, my name is Kristen Sporkowski, and I'm the Director of Choirs here at the high school, and along with Mr. Brewer, Director of Bands, and Mr. Hennig, Director of Orchestras, we make up the music department here at the high school. As the counselors said, band, choir, and orchestra are a year-long commitment, but we feel the importance of those music classes in your day to maybe give you a little bit of a respite from the math and science and English and social studies. We are a performance-based organization, and we would like to see so many of you in our department wandering our area down the hallway here. We know as the years go on, juniors and seniors, the requirements and the things you need only get more difficult. We are very willing to work with students and their families to make music and academic requirements both a part of your day. So if you have questions, feel free to chat with any one of us. Exciting things happening in the music department for you next year. We will have our biennial fall musical, which will be taking place in November, auditions right away when school starts. And the music department will also be traveling next year. We are slated to travel to New York City if we get our way. So that is the music. I know, Mr. Taylor, you're on the bus. Here we go. Mr. Taylor's on the plane. So that is the music department. Feel free to contact us and ask us any questions. And we hope to see many of your faces in the fall.
Hi, this is the math department. I'm going to introduce Mrs. Joanne Burnett. I'm Mrs. Bester with Justin Backberg, Kyle Losha, Mrs. Amy Schultz, and John Brandt. We, unlike other departments, don't have quite the liberty to just pick what math you want to take, because if you didn't learn step 1, it's very hard to progress to step 2. And I put this on my website, and all of our teachers will have it on before too long, so that you can just take a quick peek at what the natural progression is. There's the misconception that Algebra 2 immediately follows Algebra 1, because that's chronological, and that would make sense. However, geometry comes in there in between. And you can see if you're in 8th grade math right now, what your options are. And if you are in 8th grade algebra, what the natural progression of math would be from there. So if you have further questions, I'm not going to talk you all the way through it, but you can ask us. We'll be around after.
Good evening. We're members of the Physical Education Department here at Reedsburg Area High School. My name is Sheila Green, and the courses that I teach in the department are PE 10, PE 11, and Fitness for Life, which focuses on a lot of different styles of workouts. So I'll let the other members of our department introduce themselves. In her absence, I'll also mention that we have Tracy Jones, who teaches health and comprehensive fitness. We do have a long-term sub presently in the building for her, and that would be Ashley Holtz, and she was unable to be here this evening.
Good evening, I'm Rob Bouch. I will have probably most of your sons and daughters in Phi Ed 9, since the majority of freshmen take Phi Ed 9. So I'm looking forward to working with them and getting them healthier and teaching them how to work with their bodies and make their bodies healthier and stronger. I also teach the Phi Ed 10 class, comprehensive fitness training, the adapted Phi Ed program. And I also encourage, like was mentioned before, for your sons and daughters to get involved in as much extracurricular activity as they can. I do help coach with the football program in the freshman level, and then the head wrestling coach. Thanks.
Along with the driver education classes, I do have a couple of sections of athletic training, which is not just for athletes. I want to stress that. We do have several students who are non-athletes that enjoy taking the class also. It is a class that they can take for multiple credits, either towards their PE requirement or as an elective. And again, I'd like to reiterate what most people are saying. Students, get involved. The more you're involved with, the more fun it's going to be for you, and the more you're going to get out of your 4 years here at RAHS. So, thank you.
Let's bring this mic way down. Hi everyone, I'm Jen Maggio. I'm speaking on behalf of the Science Department tonight. I will introduce Ms. Corinne Fish, Mr. Larry Judge, Ms. Julia Walton, Ms. Joyce Johnson, and Mr. Andy Gessland. Together we form the Science Department. We offer a lot of great hands-on, lab-oriented science experiences for your students. As freshmen, they'll either take biology. I do a lot of biology, so I'll see many of you in class next year, or the physical and earth science at the freshman level. I also want to feature some highlights of the Science Department. We do not blow things up, but we do a lot of labs together. And we also offer a lot of opportunities for your students to take college-level science classes right here at the high school. So we offer of all the departments the most AP courses. AP stands for Advanced Placement, where the students study here at the high school, but can earn college credit for their work here. So that's a really nice opportunity. We've got some crossovers to METC, which is a great opportunity as well. We also this year are starting the Science Olympiad. So if your student has some scientific savvy, they can cooperate with other high school members and compete regionally in the Science Olympiad. So if you have questions afterwards, please feel free to talk to any one of us. Thank you very much.
For the art department, I'm Jolie Mockler. This is Jim Slickerber. I teach mostly ceramics and advanced drawing and painting, and I'm also the art club advisor. So if you're interested in art, or you just want to join our club, come and see me, Mr. Split.
Hello, I teach Art Foundations at the high school. The Art Foundations class is geared to try to figure out what your child likes to do. And basically all the projects are outlined when you walk into the Art Foundations class. We do a lot of painting and drawing and sculpting. And so whatever direction you like to take, that's when you figure out what the next course it is that you should take. And Mrs. Mockler teaches the ceramics classes, and she teaches advanced painting and drawing. And so the nice thing about our art department is that during the RTI time, and you heard Mrs. Bacher talk about it earlier, there's an avenue for your child to come in and work on whatever specific skill that it is they want to work on. So other than the classes, we do have an art club, and the art club usually is for events like Corn Fest comes to mind right away, and Mrs. Mockler usually does that with the kids. So it's a fun little outlet outside the classroom that your students can get involved in. Thank you.
Hello, we are the English department. I am Brenda Williams. This is Kristen Gestelin, Tracy Chambers, Teresa Carey, Nicole Brewer, Heather Anstedt, and David Fitzpatrick. We offer a handful of classes which you likely have seen, or maybe not if you haven't flipped through the course catalog description book yet. We offer to the freshmen, you already heard, English 9 and Accelerated 9-10. We offer English 10, we offer English 11, which are all year-long classes. And then for literature electives, we offer a British literature and a dramatic literature. We also offer a course called Intro to Theater. We offer a couple of writing classes, Accelerated Writing and Advanced Composition. And for seniors, they're eligible to take an MATC class called Intro to College Reading and Writing. That's a dual credit option, or Advanced Placement Lit. Okay, so those are the classes that we offer. If you are wondering who your child will have as a freshman, it would be either Mr. Fitzpatrick at the end, or Teresa, or Kristen Gesselin right here. Those are the three teachers of freshmen. So between the three of them, they have all the freshmen. This was mentioned a little bit earlier, but I did want to touch on it again. For Accelerated English, some of your students may be interested in taking that. I want to let you know that within a week or so, there will be a letter sent out to all 8th grade parents that will have more details about when the testing will take place and where and all the things that go along with that. So if you haven't heard anything yet, don't freak out. It's still in the works, but within the next week or so, you should be having more info on that. So, there you go.
If I could have one more round of applause on behalf of me, thank you to my staff for being so awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Mr. Terry and I are going to talk about 10 things that we think are important that you know about Reedsburg High School. And take a second here to switch over the computer and see what's going on. We think we have a pretty excellent high school here. This is my 9th year, and we have, in that time, we continually improve our staff. We've got great teachers here. We've got great opportunities. We have a great big screen behind me. I was talking to some of the kids before we started this tonight. We do occasionally do some karaoke at lunch. We show YouTube videos. I had 2 young ladies over here. I will not forget you. You volunteered to do karaoke on the first day, so you're up. So, Mr. Terry, if you would like to pull up, well, there's kind of a top 10 thing going on here tonight we're going to go with, so we'll see The first thing here, just pay attention to the video, please. Okay, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Wayne's World. It's one of my favorite movies. There's a phrase in Wayne's World. It's not just because of the hockey. I'm sure the staff thinks I put that up there because hockey is the greatest sport ever invented. But game on is the thing that I say to the freshmen every year on the first day. Everything up to this point was somewhat important. And I don't want to make high school seem to be more important than the other levels. But everything your kids do and everything those of you kids who are here, everything you do now counts. It goes on your transcript. It goes on your permanent record. You will be passed through grades K-8, whether you pass or not. You will not graduate and have a diploma and have your name up on one of these fake diplomas that are enlarged up on the wall unless you pass 23 credits. So it's really important that you get yourself ready to start your freshman year, and that first semester and that second semester, your GPAs and how you do in class set the tone for the next 4 years. And you do not want to dig yourself a deep hole by having a tough freshman year. So I like to say game on. Once you come here, you have that freshman-only first day. That starts it. You need to take everything very seriously. You need to have these staff members help you every chance they have. And you need to make sure you get the job done right the first time. Number 2, Mr. Terry. There's a video here that this presentation is being taped, and we're going to put it up on the website. But standards-based grading is what we've adopted here at the high school. And there's a gentleman that comes on here and has this video that you can certainly look at on your own time if you'd like. We're not going to have it play through and have you listen to it tonight, but you might have heard about some of the things we now do at the high school. Okay, we do not take extra credit in our classes. We do not give zeros to students if we use a 100-point grading scale. We allow retakes of all of our unit and major tests. We allow legwork to be turned in until you can turn him off, he might be distracted. But he's a lot smarter than I am, and he's the person that can answer all of these questions about standards-based grading. But why do we do it? Because we believe that this method that we're using promotes more authentic grades and more authentic learning. Okay? Extra credit, like your students, your child brings in Kleenexes, and they get extra credit points for a class. In all honesty, it doesn't have anything to do with learning math, or English, or chemistry, or any other subject. Okay? We want them to demonstrate to us by taking summative assessments that they understand the material as well as we want them to. That's why we let them take the tests over. Okay? You can retake a test if you work with the teacher and you do extra activities to get caught up and the teachers believe you're ready to take it at the next level. Because the purpose of us teaching you all these lessons is for you to learn the lesson. If we give you a 0 on an assignment and simply let you move on and never review that information or learn it, we're putting you behind. You're here for 4 years, and parents, your kids are here for 4 years to learn the lessons that we think are most important. And if we simply let them skate by and not do anything other than take zeros, we're doing them a huge disservice. So we use what we call standards-based grading here, and we're more than happy to have discussions about it, and each of your kids will learn about it because each of the teachers has the autonomy to do certain things within parameters in their own classrooms. Okay? So that'll be important that you check their syllabus online and you check with your child to see what each teacher does. Even within departments, there are going to be small differences that they have in their classes. So that's what we call standards-based grading. At the high school, we do not do quarters. We've decided a couple years ago that since the semester grade is the only grade of record, that's the grade that goes in the transcript, that's the grade at the next level, whether they go to MATC or to a university or anywhere else. Those places after Reedsburg High School are only interested in the semester grade. So that's what we focus on. We have 2 18-week semesters, and that's what we focus on. We don't send home progress reports anymore. We don't do quarter grades or quarter honor rolls anymore because we're concentrating on that 18-week semester. Okay? When we go back to talk about those standards-based grading, you can turn in late work up until 2 weeks before the semester is over. At some point, the teachers need to be able to finish the semester off and have a little time to get their final exams, etc. done. So keep in mind that we have just semester grades. We don't do quarters. You're probably used to quarters, but we don't do those here. Number 4, we do not do parent-teacher conferences at the high school. Okay, the other levels do parent-teacher conferences. One of the things that we found over the years is that we rarely get 25 to 30% of the parents to show up at the high school conferences, and then we herd you all here into the commons, and you stand in really long lines and hope to talk to the teachers for maybe 5 minutes. And it's really not that great of a concept. We have a whole bunch of electronic ways to talk. We have a really nice new phone up there. Really? Where's Mr. Terry? That's the phone? Okay, thanks. Okay. What we want to have here at Reedsburg High School is an ongoing dialogue. From the time your child starts here, we would like you to be in contact with us. My teachers are here from 7:45 until basically 4 p.m. every single day. Most of them are here much longer than that. Many of them come back on the weekends and at night and over the holidays and all summer. They're here a lot. You can find them here. Okay, so send them an email. Leave them a voicemail. Text them. Every one of my teachers has a website. Every one of my teachers has a Twitter account. Okay, you can find out some really cool and interesting things about the teachers on their Twitter accounts too. Because they not only put their school stuff on there, but they put some personal stuff on there that lets you know what kind of people they really are. My Twitter has a lot of hockey on it, obviously, because it's, again, the best sport ever invented. But we want it, the lower left-hand corner, that's a picture of the school. Come and visit us. Teachers have a prep period every day, 50 minutes, where we can schedule to come on in. You can stop in the office. You can talk to whichever one of us you need to talk to find the answer to whatever question that you have. But we want this to be a 4-year ongoing process. We have a first day freshman only day in the fall where the freshmen come in. We have programs and we have some time for just them. In the fall, we have a back to school night. One of the things that you do lose not having parent-teacher conferences is you being able to put a name with a face. And so if you come back next fall, we'll have a night where we'll have a little presentation again, and then you'll go spend 5 or 6 minutes in every one of your child's classes, and the teacher can answer individual questions about those classes and that sort of thing. So we're trying to create opportunities to use, in the Skyward there in the middle, you can always get on your Skyward. I ask my teachers to update their grades once a week, and so you can keep track of how your child is doing that way. So again, an ongoing process of communication with us is what we're looking for. Number 5, this is what we're trying to avoid. Okay? One of the things that happens quite often in my position is that the phone rings, and on the other end is a person who's not particularly happy because they believe something's gone wrong for their child at school. Or I also have students talk to me this way. The toughest part of my job is trying to figure out what they're talking about sometimes, because something happens in the classroom. Something happens with a coach. Something happens with an advisor, and people call me up and say, hey, I want this fixed. And I say, okay, but I'm going to have to dig into it and try to figure out what happened. What we would like you to do is follow a simple chain of command. This is for students too, and please, if your children aren't here tonight, let them know this. If your child has an issue with a teacher, coach, advisor, administrator, cook, whatever, have them talk to that person first. Start at the lowest level where the issue has begun. Have them try to solve it. If that doesn't work, then by all means, give me a phone call. If it doesn't work talking to the coach individually, the student talking to the coach, then have the parent get involved at that point. Okay, but let's try, this is high school. We're trying to teach these kids to be young adults and advocate for themselves and handle their own issues. Okay? I also like to tell parents, I've learned this over the years, there's really 3 sides to every story. Okay? There's the student side, there's the staff side, and there's the somewhere in between, which was what really happened. Okay, it's never really all one way or the other. But it's more effective if your child deals with the issue first, if you need to get involved. If you're not happy with the answer I give you, then by all means, Tom Benson, extension 2006 at the central office, he's my boss. And if you're not happy with Mr. Benson, then there's the school board. But if we could avoid this up behind me, I know I'd appreciate it not having my boss or the school board getting angry phone calls and then calling me because they didn't know what was going on. So it's really effective. And I know my teachers are here for your kids, and they're going to give you every benefit of the doubt if you just give them a chance. Thanks. We do not have study halls. The counselors mentioned this before. We do not have study halls for freshmen because they don't use them. I would defy anybody in the room, and I know I go back to high school all the way back to the 70s. I've never seen a study hall that really got used by a whole lot of people. For other than, I played a lot of euchre, we had a lot of fun, talked to a lot of people, hung out. But we're going to give our freshmen 7 classes. We believe they can handle 7 classes. We have RTI, 4 days a week, 30 minutes, 3 days, 20 minutes on Fridays. This is where they're with subject expert teachers, and if they have questions, they can use that time for that. We honestly believe that as freshmen and sophomores, they don't need these study halls. They take more classes. That opens up their junior and senior year to do more electives. And quite honestly, I'm an advocate for moving kids out of here as quickly as possible. I don't want all your kids to graduate early, necessarily, but if you get to be a junior and senior and you run out of good stuff that we have, go to MATC. Go to a university. Start taking classes that get you ready for the next level, because you don't really need to be here at that point. When the counselors talk about 23 credits to graduate, keep in mind that if you take 7 classes a year for 4 years, you'll have 28 credits. So the opportunity to move on to the next level quicker isn't a bad thing. Okay? We don't think study halls are all that effective, and so we don't have them. What's number 7? This is a 4-year process. Okay, the goal is on the right-hand side, and for most people, again, me being older, going back to the 70s, there was always basically a really prescribed sequence where you took all your classes. That's not really how it works effectively anymore for kids. Okay, as Mr. Moon mentioned, we have freshmen who take AP classes. And back in the day, it was physical science, then biology, then chemistry, then the next level. We're going to let you and your children make some more decisions about what order you want to take your classes. Obviously, Mrs. Bester's right. We want you to take Algebra 1 before you take Algebra 2. That just makes sense. But if your child wants to take some classes earlier than their friends or earlier than you took them in high school, absolutely come and talk to us, and we'll try to find the answer for them. We have a gifted and talented program here at the high school, and it's really simple. Your child can take the final exam for any class we offer. And if they score 95% on that final exam prior to taking the class, we will give them the half credit, and they do not have to take the class. They can go on to the next level. Our Gifted and Talented program is basically a test-out program. So if they think they can handle it, we'll give them some time to study, we'll give them the final exam, and they can move ahead even faster. It just makes sense to us. So it's a process. Take your time, wind through it, do what interests you. This is a safe place. Is that really fuzzy for anybody else? Okay, good. Thought I needed new glasses. High school, and again, I'm not going to lie, we have our issues here. That's why we have an assistant principal who's in charge of discipline and attendance. We have a police liaison in the district. We have bullying, we have harassment. When we find out about it, we will do everything in our power to stop it. Okay, we have assemblies talking to kids. We try to work with our kids and try to get them to do the right thing. Okay, I have 64 teachers. None of them tolerate bullying and harassment in their classes. But sometimes we miss it. It happens in the hallways, it happens in the back of the classroom. It's kind of a quiet thing. Tell your kids, and kids if you're here, tell your teachers. They will help you. They will advocate for you. We will make it stop. Okay? There's a great group of people right there. They will help you out. We do not tolerate that sort of thing, but we need to find out about it as well. Okay? Thanks. People talked about this before. We have a huge number of activities that you can get involved in here, whether it's music and the arts, it's, we have an archery club, we have a mountain club, we have all sorts of things that your kids can do. And one of the things that I think freshman parents worry about sometimes is, what if my child is too involved? When will they have time? Interestingly, all of the research on high school students and activities will show you, time and again, that the more they're involved with, the more successful they become, because they learn how to manage their time. And they have a built-in group of friends and allies in those activities that will help keep them on the right path and help them be more successful. So we offer everything that you want. And kids, if there's a club that we don't have, and you can find a teacher who wants to advise it, our activities director will make it happen. This screen a couple years ago, where's Mr. Groundling? Mr. Groundling, in the back of the room a couple years ago, didn't we have a gamer club? Where they sat in here after school and put, I don't know, whatever kind of video games up on What's a good video game? You don't know either? I don't either. I'm too old. I play like pinball and stuff like that. I had Atari. But anyway, somebody wanted a game club. We hooked up computer games to the big screen and we played. And we have a really killer sound system in here. It was a lot of fun for the kids. Okay, so if you got something you want to do, let us know. We'll do it. Number 10. Go ahead and play this one, Mr. Terry. This is a typical day in a social studies class at Reedsburg High School. Maybe. You break?
That Sicilian songbird, the wonderful Mr. Vinny Barbarino. Barbarino, yeah.
Okay, maybe not. A typical day. Anybody remember that show when it played the first time, actually? Thank you for dating yourselves. Okay. It's 4 years, and up to this point in your child's life, this will be the best of times. Our hope is when they leave here, the times will be much better. But up to this point, high school should be as much fun and as many opportunities as you can get. That's why we're here, to give them a great education, but we also want to have some fun. We really do karaoke in here sometimes. We show YouTube videos. We have Twitter contests. We give away really healthy snacks at the food service. The staff will do anything here to help your child if they want to be helped. Ask for it and enjoy the ride. Those are the top 10 things we want you to know. At this point in time, if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand and we will try to answer them. Don't everybody go at once. And no questions from the staff, please. Well, if you don't have any questions, then I'm going to say thank you for coming. Please finish up the food and stuff over there because we don't want our teachers to be unhealthy by eating all that food tonight. And we appreciate you coming. If you have questions, give us a call, send us an email, do whatever it is, and have a safe trip home.